student Isabella Perdomo speak about FSA testing and opting out during the March 9th school board meeting. She asked what would happen if a student was not present for the testing and was curious about the consequences of not taking the exam. She referred to this as opting out. First, it is important to note that opt-out looks very differently from state to state. In Florida, the approach taken by most parents is having their children minimally participate in the state exams. And while it's true that there is a Florida statute that requires all districts and students to participate in state exams, the definition of participation is not clearly defined and is thus open to interpretation. Minimally participating entails breaking the seal of an exam or logging into an exam but not answering a single question, thus earning an NR code. This is very different from not sitting for the exam at all. One of the board members asked whether opting out is an option and was told by district personnel that it is not. But actually it is an option. Is it written in state statute? No, the superintendent is correct, it is not. Yeah. But in fact, many parents and their children have opted out successfully already. I know of many parents personally who have opted their children out of the exams and their children have gone on to graduate and be successful in higher education. There's a Facebook group called Opt Out Miami-Dade with roughly 1,600 members and many parents who have opted their children from the exams. Even the president of the United Teachers of Dade, Frederick Ingram, stated on the UTD radio program of April 22nd, 2014, that he has opted out his own children. Therefore, I do not think that misinformation is getting out into the community as suggested by district personnel. Another point that was made by district personnel is that if you don't take the FSA in 10th grade, you don't graduate. That is not necessarily true, as there are alternatives like concordant scores on the ACT or SAT. In 3rd grade, you also have alternatives like portfolios. These alternatives need to be discussed between parents and the administration from the very beginning of the school year so that the process is carried out smoothly. Federal law does state that states must test at least 95% of students each year or face the possibility of losing federal funds. Yet New York, California, and another 6 states with large opt-out movements fell below the 95% threshold last year. And according to the WLRN article from April 18th, their only penalty was to submit written plans to boost future participation, and they did not lose any funding. Another issue dealing with opt-out is intimidation. Students should not be badgered or intimidated by anyone into taking the exams. In an April 22nd Miami Herald article, the head of testing for Miami-Dade Public Schools stated that the district does not direct its principals and test chairs to put pressure on parents. However, just a couple of weeks ago, there was a parent and child at Miami Lakes Educational Center that faced this exact type of harassing behavior from the administration when they decided to opt out of the FSA exam. Moreover, several other parents have expressed similar complaints about the treatment that their children have received from school administrators. This is shameful, unacceptable, and should not occur. To conclude, the testing system that's been set up is a disaster. Recent data shows that both math and reading scores on the NAEP tests have dropped for 4th, 8th, and 12th graders. The testing craze has converted our public schools into testing centers, creating obstacles for students and teachers like unnecessary stress, bogus tools like VAM, and we cannot simply sit by and wait for elections and elected officials to maybe change these bad policies when it is our children that are being denied a quality education. Low test scores on state exams are used by so-called school reformers to add more funding to charter schools and eventually privatize the public education system. And lastly, the last sentence, define the law as controversial, but that is how all, and I repeat, all social and political change has occurred in this country and in history. We would still have slavery, Jim Crow, no women's suffrage, no collective bargaining rights, no minimum wage, had it not been for civil disobedience. People are being forced to take action because of what we see as the destruction of public education, and that's why there's a statewide network of opt-out groups as well as a national movement saying enough is enough.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Omar Recuero.